in Section 5. This is John Marola from Keeping It Real, Section 5 Football. And tonight's episode, we have two special guests with us. But first, I have to introduce my partner on my far left. Actually, I think all you gentlemen, right, you're all Section 5 Hall of Famers. Yep. All three of you. Yep. I always start with my partner, Section 5 Hall of Famer, Paul Brigani. Paul?
Well, we do. We have a great show today, and I think this is going to be fun.
Yes.
Because we have the Godfather of Section 5 football on tonight, and his son, Rob. So stay tuned. Be ready for a good one today.
Tonight's episode, like we were talking, is basically, you know, the man that kind of created all of Section 5 football in Monroe County and everything. He did it for years and years, and there's a lot of time and effort that he put into Section 5, and we're just very, very happy to have him here tonight. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Yep. And to his right, my left, is the former head coach at Athena High School, Dick's son, Robbie. Robbie, thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us. We're really looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to learn a lot today, and we're going to start out with both to Rob and Dick. And I guess could you talk a little bit about your high school playing days, about the football program where you grew up at, and some of the people that helped you were some of your mentors and role models growing up in the high school.
Well, to start, I grew up, I was probably 5 or 6 years old, probably like you, John, with a dad who's a high school coach. So I was on the sidelines and watching him do his thing at Jefferson, and that really inspired me. I knew I wanted to be a part of football. I wanted to play, and then I had a great experience. I played for Don Haygreen at Greece Athena, and just really a good person, a good friend of mine, and a great coach. And so I had a terrific high school experience. So, but two of my really influential people in my lives were, one, my dad here with football, and then my high school coach. So, and I just knew that I wanted to have football be a part of my life. I didn't realize then that I would be a head coach. I just knew I wanted to play in college, and I got the opportunity to do that, and then coach after that. So, yeah.
And Dick, about your days at West High, right?
That was we had a good team. We had a kid named Tom Kwapik, and he ended up going to college. I think he got hurt in his first year and never played. But Tom was just a super kid, and we were unbeaten my senior year. And he told Barney one time in a game we were playing terrible. And we were ahead, but just not doing well. And it's halftime, and Tom told the coach, let me call the play the second half, just until I put it in the end zone. And he said, okay. And he got out there and he said, all right, we're going to run a 45 dive. That's the ball going between Paul Kasampis and myself. Paul was a tackle and I was a guard. And that's the only play he ran. He ran it from the kickoff. We got down about to the 10-yard line on the same drive. And he said, come on, guys, we'll put it in. And he was talking, and the referee was Nick Zona. And Nick said, hey, play football and stop talking. And we got down to about the 1-yard line, and Tom came out and says, okay, guys, see if you can stop me. And this is during the game. I'm going right there, right between Dick and Paul. And we did. We went right through and put him in the end zone, and that was the beginning of, we just crushed them after that. I mean, we scored every time we got the ball, but they just couldn't stop us. But this Tommy Kwapik was just a super, super kid. He started when he was a freshman. I think he was the only guy that started at West High. And we had Donahue and Matt Nickel, that whole crew of people.
And who was the coach there? Who was the
And
who was your
the
coach?
coach then at Barney Smith.
Marcel? Oh, Barney Smith.
Barney Smith, yeah. And we got to about our junior year when it was Tom and I and Paul and a few guys, and we were unbeaten. The junior year, we lost one game. The senior year, we were unbeaten.
Where did you play your games? Did you play games at like Red Wing Stadium and back then?
Yeah, we played.
Or Edgerton? Or?
No, we played at Edgerton Park, and we played at the old Aquinas Stadium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one or two games. But Tom was just a super kid. My only wink or link and everything was when I was chairman and I was running the Hall of Fame. I called Tom up and I wanted to bring him in and put him in the Hall of Fame. And that weekend, Tommy died
Oh, that's sad.
before I could get him in. And his son came up and talked, and we put him in. But I felt bad that I waited too long to put Tom in, and Tom was just a super kid.
I want to ask you both, and again, I'll start with Rob, is how did you decide that you wanted to make teaching, coaching a career, and was there something else at that time that you were also looking at other avenues?
Yeah. You know, again, I go back to the two people that were influential were my dad, who was a phys ed teacher, and my high school coach, Don Hagren. And so I kind of thought I wanted to get involved with coaching, probably was my initial thrust there. And then, you know, you got the teaching job pays the bills, Paul. You know that, at least in Greece anyway.
Yeah.
So I think and I knew there that I thought phys ed was going to be the way to go. I'm not sure what I would have done if I didn't teach, you know. And I ended up going to Cortland, had a great experience there, had the opportunity to play there. And it's funny how things happen, but because I was a defensive player in college and then became an offensive coach, but been playing in the secondary at Cortland, I had a lot of responsibility. You know, I would make all these checks, and so it kind of helped me. Then I knew where the vulnerabilities were in the zones, so you know kind of where to attack, where to try to attack. But
Now, I know, Dick, we were talking before, you talked about the military. Did you go to the military right after high school, or how did your journey?
I went 1 year to college. I didn't like it. I played on the freshman team, and we played 4 games. We never knew who the coach was, and it just was not a good situation. So I quit at the end. Met a couple of buddies. We joined the Army, and I volunteered to go to Germany. And I was in Germany for 16 months. And as I got there, I went and we had the first day off. And I went down to the field and they were playing football. And they were just beginning of it. So I said, hey, can I try out for the team? And the guy said, yep. And the captain come over and says, take him in, get him some equipment. Now, this is the very first day. I go in, I get the equipment, come out, get in a few drills. And as the week progressed, and then they moved me to a starting guard. And I ended up, I was a guard, and the other guard was a stenographer. Now, he was in Pennsylvania, and when you're a stenographer, the captain or the general, whoever was in charge, would always bring you right in the office because they didn't have many stenographers. I got another story with him, but I ended up starting in this game as an offensive guard. I got halfway through the season, and another guy got hurt, and I ended up going both ways.
Wow.
And playing, we had some pretty good players at the time. I don't remember their names, but we had a good season. And we only lost a game or two. And that ended, and basketball started. And I went back to my job and went to the gym the same day, and they had tryouts for basketball. So the guy didn't know who I was. He said, hey, I thought you were trying out. Go get your shorts on and everything. And okay, and I got up and I made the team, but wasn't a starting guard. I was a backup guard to a kid from New York. But I would play half a game because he was always in foul trouble. This kid, he was a heck of a player, but I don't think he ever played a full game.
And that was your military experience, right? Playing football.
That was the
basketball.
military. Now I played football. Now I play basketball, and we went all over. And then I came back, and I was trying to think. Oh,
How did the teaching? How did you get from there?
that's what happened. I came back, and baseball tryouts were starting, and the captain said, "Hey, Dick, come on out for the baseball team." And I looked at the guys away, and I said, "You know what? All these guys are pro players. I can't fit in here. I couldn't play." He said, "Okay, how would you like to be an umpire?" And he said, "I got 2 RAs, regular Army guys, there, and I need 3, and you'll ump as a group." So they sent me to school for a week, and I became an umpire. I had just one phenomenal story. I was umpiring behind the plate of a playoff game, and this little short fat guy, big beer belly, come running out, and he got all over me. I forgot to call. I called the guy out, and he thought he should be safe and at the plate, and he went around and just did not stop. And the 2 other umpires were regular Army. They knew who the guy was. I didn't. And they got up and they kept shaking their head, and I didn't know what they were shaking their head for, but I said, "Hey, you keep this up, I'm going to throw you out of here." He said, "You don't have the balls to throw me out." I said, "No, watch this." And I made a big gesture, "You're out of here." And the 2 guys went, "Oh," they start moaning, and they escorted him out. They came up to me and said, "You know who you just threw out of the game? General Davis,
General.
first star general. I was a PFC. I had 1 stripe. I never went any higher."
Yeah, well, I wonder
And
why.
the game finished. He won. He ended up winning the game. We put our stuff in the car, drove back to Frankfurt, Germany, where we were stationed, and I never saw the guy again. But they put it in there's a Stars and Stripes paper that came out for all Army one. And in the paper they put down, "Plate umpire throws out General Davis in the game." Never put my name because they didn't have it either.
We have court martial.
I want to ask you both, when you started coaching, did you start out as an assistant, and then tell us about your first head coaching experience and how that all worked itself out?
Well, my first job, John, you were on the staff. Ben Giuseppe hired me at Greece Olympia right out of college.
Yep.
And I think George took a job maybe at Eastridge or something. Because George was the head coach. He left. I don't remember the circumstances. But so I come in with Bill Wilt, who had been out of coaching for several years, and Bill Coe, also out of coaching. And I'll never forget this. I saw the picture up there of Marcus Wilson.
Yeah.
So we're playing first game. I'm right out of college. First game. A little nervous, and we're playing St. Francis out of Buffalo.
Oh.
So it looks like the Packers are playing the
49ers,
I'm
right?
telling you. Remember that?
Yep.
Opening kickoff goes to Marcus Wilson. He goes 85 yards for a touchdown.
I thought this was
His
great.
coaching's pretty
This
easy.
is good coaching.
So, but the next year, because I got the head job, but I took over after you, Paul, at Jefferson.
Jeff, right?
Yeah, and that was a unique experience. I had a lot of fun. It was tough. It was a struggle, but we battled. The first year, I think we had a JV team. I don't think we had enough players. We were really young. And the next year, we were like a 500 team, and then the school closed and went to a middle school.
Right when they did it.
So, but back then, you think you know a lot of football coming out, but really, as I look back on it, wow, that was a good learning experience because I needed to learn.
Yes.
So then I got a great opportunity because my high school coach said, "Why don't you come over to Athena, coach with me? If my son plays I'm going to go 7 years. If he doesn't play, I'm going to go 2 years. I'm going to get out. He was like in middle school at the time. He ended up playing and went 7 years, which is, as I look back on it, it was the best thing that could have happened to me because I coached the JVs for him. I learned how to run a program, and he was just a really good person and just did things right always and took care of all the little things. So I learned a great deal from him. And then when he stepped down, I stepped right in at Athena and took over from there.
And how many years was that career?
That was 24.
24 years.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. Wow.
So,
And Dick, tell us about your first coaching experience. And was it an assistant role, or did you go right head coach, or how did that?
I was at Ithaca at the time and doing my student teaching, and Joe Morosco, he asked me if he needed a coach on the JV. So I coached JV football at Ithaca for 1 year. And then I got a phone call from Roger Butts. And Roger was the athletic director at Jefferson at the time. And he said, Dick, you want to come back to Rochester? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. He said, okay. He said, I'll send you a contract and we'll pick a school, your elementary school. About 2 weeks later, he called me up again. And he said, Dick, have you got driver education? I said, I'm taking it now. I'll be certified in another week. He said, okay, you're going to Franklin as a driver ed teacher. I have a car for you. So I go to Franklin and become a driver ed. That day, or that 2 years, I met more people that come up to me now. They'll tap me on the shoulder and say, are you Dick Cerone? I say, yeah. She said, you taught me driver ed.
I've witnessed it.
That was
Not lying.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that was about 38 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just had someone yesterday. I went to a retirement party for Rod's wife, and a lady came up to me there at the party, and she said, Mr. Cerone, you taught me driver ed.
Wow.
I said, that was unbelievable. Roger was a big influence on me. He was the chairman of football. He got out, and he said, Dick, I want you to take it over. And I started taking it over, doing little things to build it up. And I thought, I got a committee together that just were all guys that some played, some didn't, but they were workers and had great ideas. We had probably 30 sponsors that would give us money for nothing, I bought shirts for kids. We started an awards ceremony. I started the Meath game, and all this was Raj. I wasn't the chairman yet, but Raj was kind of everything I would say he'd do. I said, Raj, we're going to run an all-star game, and the Eddie Meath game. He came up with the name Eddie Meath, but he let me do all the work. And
were you coaching back then?
I was I was also coaching.
So, did you coach? I know obviously Jefferson. Were you at any other place in the city before Jefferson, or did you go?
No, coaching. I was there just at Jeff, and probably I think 17 years. I was a head coach, and I got a letter from the city of Rochester. They said if I don't take the next athletic director's job, they're going to take me off the list. And I thought, I'd like to. That's when I got out of coaching and became an AD. And they sent me, the next year I went to Monroe. And that was a hole. Holy cow. My office was in the basement, dust everything. And I was in like a closet. And it had 2 holes in the side of the building. And I'm on the phone, and a rat runs across from one to the other. And I went to the principal and said, hey, you got to get me out of the basement, But he didn't.
I wanted to ask you both, and we talked about this briefly before the podcast, is when you both got into coaching and putting together your coaching staff, and we look at sometimes the amount of coaches that are now on staff. But when you both started, and how many did you have? How many varsity coaches? How many? What was your?
Myself and two others, three. We had three guys, and then one year.
Is that for whole? Is it varsity, JV, everything,
No,
or
just varsity.
And then you had JV coaches as well.
Yeah, we had JV. We had two JV coaches, and that's what we did all the time. And Raj was when he was coaching one year. I said, Raj, you're an athletic director. You can't coach. He says, they won't know until the end of the season when they got to pay me. And he did. He coached all year. It was like having an unbelievable guy on the staff.
And Rob, from when you started at Jeff to what you ended up at Athena.
It's a little frustrating, Paul, because I just learned that I also had just three of us on the varsity at Athena for many years and two JV coaches. So we were stuck back in the 70s. It wasn't until I don't know, maybe my 15th season at Athena that we got an extra coach. When I finished, we had 4 paid guys in the varsity. I think we had 3 JV and then a couple modified. And if there were seasons where with our numbers were, warranted another coach at the modified.
And that's. You had over 100 kids in the football program.
I had volunteers.
Between all the different various levels.
Yeah, we had good numbers. I always had volunteers. That was a neat thing about coaching. I always had former players would come back and either be as a paid assistant or a volunteer. But you need those because it's so hard to do it with just, with 2 assistants and you got 50 kids on the team.
I want to ask you both, and both of you have had so many tremendous victories as a coach. Tell me some of the most memorable games that you were in that you will never forget. And, we like to talk about the victories.
Yeah. There's some memorable losses too. I'll give you one. In 2014, we had started the season off well. I had a good team, good running team, and a decent quarterback. And he breaks his collarbone after week 3 or 4. And somehow I did not have a backup quarterback. Somehow we finished the game. We were able to beat Irondequoit. And I remember walking off the field with George, and I said, George, we're in a lot of trouble. I literally don't have a quarterback on. And so we meet on the following Sunday, and we start kicking around names. And I said, well, what if we try? We had this kid named Tavon Grandison. He was a slot receiver. Let's try him a quarterback. We'll simplify the offense. We'll run some zone reads, and after about the 3rd day of practice, I look at my assistant coach. And I'm like, I think we had the wrong guy playing quarterback. But all of a sudden it was like this kid can really disconnect and run, and he could throw, and he was smart. But you asked me about the wins and losses, and that year we had a heartbreaking loss in the sectional finals. We're at I don't remember, first and goal at the 3, and we run it down to a 1, and then we fumble. And we're up 1 at the time. Irondequoit comes down, and you know how that happens. Just kind of snowballs. They come right down the field. All of a sudden, we can't stop them. They score. That was a tough loss. So that one sticks in my.
They always those are the ones you remember too.
Two years later, we did redeem ourselves, and we made a nice run. And probably the sectional championship for me, it was my 22nd year as a head coach, and you chase the sectional title, right? And then it finally happened where we had a great moment with my dad.
Right, absolutely.
That was really special.
That, yes.
And then
the presentation,
the
sectional,
and then
the block of wood.
Absolutely. So that was for me probably my most memorable game, the sectional title, and then
And I know Dick, and I know this might not have been the most memorable, but you do have a great story that we heard earlier about a game at Aquinas Stadium and a police officer bringing one of your players in, and I would like you to tell that story, and then you can talk about some of the great victory.
I had we played a game at Aquinas Stadium, and one of my linemen, a real tough kid, missed the bus, and I said, "Hey guys, you can't wait all day." We went to the game. Meanwhile, he came to school, and he realized he had no way of getting to the stadium. He put on his uniform and everything, and he was jogging up the street, and a cop car came by, or a cop on a horse, and he saw this kid running, and he pulled over and said, "Where are you running to?" He said, "I got a game. I missed a bus." And he said, "Hop on the horse," and he rode him up to the game. Now Tommy Naka was with me then. Tommy said, "Dick, don't turn around because you're going to go crazy." But your guard just showed up on a horse, and I said, "What? What do you mean on a horse?" And he come running out, and I missed the bus, coach, and this and that. And of course, we put him in the game, and we won. We won the game.
So all
Everything
right.
The more I thought of it, I said, "This has got to be a first." I don't think we ever had a guy and a horse come to a game.
Right.
You know,
That's a fantastic
yeah.
story. Was there any city championship game that was very memorable to you that you guys were involved in?
Yeah, we played Madison one time, and we were both tied for the first series there, and all of a sudden I had all the Madison people standing behind me, and my team was in the tennis courts, and I couldn't sub. So I said, "Oh heck." Frank Marafino was on the game, and I called Frank over. I said, "Frank, I can't sub. My team is over in the tennis courts. All these people are behind me." I said, "If I can't get there, you can have the damn game." I said, "I'm going to go." And he said, "Dick, you can't leave." I said, "Well, I want to be able to sub, and I can't. I can't find my kids."
So the spectators were on your side.
Oh yeah,
is
they
what
were
happened.
right.
Yeah,
They were right.
They were literally
Right
I
on
think,
the field. Basically, right.
on-
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're-
and I had a
I
guy
think that's what happened.
behind me blowing smoke, and he was smoking at the time.
Oh my God.
So I said, "Frank, either do something or call the game." And this was like in the third quarter, just the beginning. And all of a sudden, the principal walks over, and he comes up to me and said, "Dick, what are you trying to do?" I said, "I want a fair chance. My team is over in the tennis courts. All these people are your people. I can't. This isn't fair. If you want the game, you can have it. I'll put the kids in the bus and go." And he said, "Give me a few times." He called the police. Boom. He escorted, got them all out of the way. We lost the game anyway.
Oh,
Yeah. But we were both tied for the lead, and they ended up beating us. They had a good team. But Frank reminds me, when you called up and said you're going to give us the game, you know, the referees all looked and said, "What is he, crazy?" I said, that was just a.
Before we go, I have to ask you this, and I should have talked to you earlier about it. Tell me your first game I think it was either an assistant or a head coach, or your first game as a head coach. Where was it at?
It was actually, as a head coach, my first game at Jeff. You know,
At Jefferson.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was at Jefferson. Yeah.
And I kind of remember you talking about this, and for whatever reason, it just struck me. Where did you coach your last game?
Yeah. Okay. My first game. I said this when I retired. They did a little party.
Yeah.
It was at Edgerton Park, right? My last game, I coached with my one assistant, Dan Train. He retired. We went 30 years together. The last game we coached together was in the Carrier Dome at State
Oh
Championship.
wow!
That's-
Wow.
that's-
You went
that was
from
pretty cool.
Edgerton Park to the
To the
Carrier.
state, yeah. We laugh at that now. It's like, wow,
A great journey.
Amazing.
yeah, amazing.
You know, and I wanted to ask you, Rob, because you mentioned Dan Train and you had an assistant that was with you
Yeah.
all the way.
Yes.
And you know, I think that's so. The question to you is, what were you looking for when you were building your staff in your assistants at the various levels, and what advice could you give to young people trying to get into the coaching profession, and you know, through your years of experience, what would you want to pass on to people?
I think, Paul, the most important trait that I always look for was loyalty. I always thought I could teach them and get them to come, you know, and we go to clinics and you can learn and you can always, but loyalty is really important. And one of the things that I attribute to a lot of the success we had at Athena is we didn't have a lot of turnover in the coaching staff.
Yeah.
You know, I went through 3 defensive coordinators in 24 years, and that, you know,
We had Jerry Nacella for a long time, right?
a long
Jerry
time.
was-
John Lockhart I had for a
John,
long
yes.
time, and now that, you know, Mike Huston, who's the head coach there now. So, and then I had lots of former players come back, but I still always wanted loyalty. You got to have guys that are your people that you can count on and you can trust. And then I learned this, it took me a while. I had a headset where I could switch back and forth offense and defense. And it got to the point where I had to just not even listen on defense ball because I was too, well, are you sure we want to play man? You know what I mean? And I'm going, I got to stop. I got to let my guys coach.
Well, yeah.
And that
You are
it's
absolutely
really
right.
important that you let them.
You know, and you saw it from both because you had been an assistant and then the head coaching role.
Right.
And there's some things that you delegate and something and you let coaches coach.
You gotta let them coach. You gotta show them that you trust them. You have faith in what they're doing, and because then they, you know, they're more accountable, and you know they take a little more pride in it too.
Yeah.
You know, Dick, you talked about it briefly, and could you expand? I think the viewers would like to know, how did the Eddie Meath game get started? You know, how did that come about?
I went to a game one time in the county, and they had a game, and I forgot what they called it, but it was like almost like an all-star game. And I came back and I told Roger, I want to start a game. I need an extra game so for the kids to play. And he was the chairman of football at the time. He said, "Okay, come up with some ideas." And I didn't know where. I said, I want to buy the kids jerseys. That was the first thing. And I said, I need a lot of money. So I went out and we hustled about maybe 15 people that donated money.
Sponsors,
Yeah, and they, you know, we got going with it, and I decided that we'll pick all stars and so many on each team. And in the first maybe 5 or 6 years, it went real well. Then I had one kid that I didn't pick right away. I was going to pick later on. His father got mad at me, and I don't want to mention his name, but he didn't let the kid play, and the kid would have played. You know, he was like the third quarterback, but one couldn't play, one got hurt. He would have started, you know, but he never made the game, and the father didn't talk to me for quite a while.
So you saw an all-star game in another state?
Yeah,
That's what happened.
that's another.
And then you brought it back and decided to do it here.
If I remember correctly, I think that the first game was televised here in Rochester.
Yeah.
The Eddie Meath game was televised back then.
Yeah.
And,
In the summertime.
Yeah,
too, right?
it was a summer game.
Yeah.
Yes, with that.
And really, it went well.
Oh yeah.
I ended up with maybe 25 sponsors. I bought watches from one game, and I gave all the staff. Someone paid for watches, and they were without this kind of a band. And I gave everybody a watch. I had a lot of things that I had. When I stopped, and the gentleman took over the game from me, the first game he had at a different time, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And he played in a high school, and he didn't have the crowd and everything.
I think colleges came in though, and were putting more demands on kids
Because kids were having to go back earlier.
Yeah, they had to mix.
The one thing that really stands out to me with that Eddie Meath game, and you know, I had an opportunity to coach in that, you know, many times, but what Tim Hill did and taking all the kids to the game to the Strong Hospital.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that was very,
really
you know, where kids from both the east and the west side would go to the various kids' rooms. They had an ice cream social,
That was really,
and you know, that's the thing that really stood out and raised a lot of money for you know, the game raised a lot of money for those kids that would never have the opportunity to play in something like that. So it was a great.
And I think both benefited. The kids in the hospital benefited, but the kids that made the trip to the hospital
You know, Rob, and I know this was, you know, because Timmy Hill did a great job organizing it. But we would go to kids' rooms and we'd give them hats,
Yeah.
from our
Yes.
various programs. They
Stickers.
were excited,
Yeah.
T-shirts, whatever, and we'd find out which town or whatever the kid was from, and
That's really
they got all excited. But that was
Yeah.
that was the thing that was really special
Yes.
too about that Eddie Meath game.
Absolutely.
The big thing that I was impressed with my experience with the Eddie Meath game was when the cheerleaders would go in the stands and collect donations from
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
They
just-
killed
and-
Yeah, just that whole.
And your daughter and your sister
Yeah.
were
Were the
yes,
yes.
for that. So,
Yeah,
not
that was
Carolyn.
really special.
Carolyn.
Yeah.
I want to get back with Rob some more advice to some younger coaches getting into the field, and I know you've done this over the years. Some of the clinics
Yeah.
and camps and things that you did with your kids, and that's all part of when you get into coaching. This is the 365-day a year.
I was just going to say, Paul, you might scare them away because when I look back on it, I've met quarterbacks. We threw in the morning a couple days a week. I always met them like at Christmas break. I had the weight room open a couple days. You
Right.
probably did the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
We go to 7-on-7s. And that actually was I got tired of the off season. When I got there, it was great, but got to the point where I just, I didn't have the energy or the desire to do it again. But as young coaches, you got to be willing to make the commitment. It's not a 6-month-a-year job. It's a 12-month-a-year job, and you have to do the extra things. And you have to open the weight room. And you got to be in all the functions. Even if you have your assistants, I always felt, even if I had my assistant in a weight room, I needed to be there too. They need to see the head coach, especially if you're the head coach.
Yeah.
You hit it on the head, and if you're going to get into this field, you better have time.
Yeah.
To do things.
And a supportive wife too. That's
Yes,
gonna help.
yes,
Which I was fortunate that I had one. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of coaches that way. Dick, I want to ask you, how did the Section 5 Hall of Fame get started, and what was the whole process of that?
I went to Roger and I said, Roger, I want to run the Hall of Fame, pick guys, and really do a job with that. And he said, good, try it. And I had some sponsors in football that just jumped over and gave me money for this. And I don't know if they're still doing it.
Yeah. The Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
they-
And then you had a
Because-
committee. You had a committee
Right.
set up, and they had criteria that they had to select. Coaches, players, volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good number come in, and I had first I had the airport billboards, and
Right.
they left them in the airport, but then someone knocked them over, and I came one day and looking around, and I couldn't find them, and I said, "Where are all the stuff from Section 5 football?" And the one guy said, "I don't know, but I haven't seen it up in a while." So he walked around and he found them. They were in a closet, all stuffed in, and they hadn't been out in over a year. So I ended up taking them out and looking for places. I had the guy that does hair, Antonelli.
Oh, right.
He wanted to put it out in his parking lot, and I said, nah. And we didn't. We just put them away and just still kept running it. But I don't know. Did they still do it? If they do it?
As far as that, it's
Yeah,
still at with the soccer stadium,
think,
right? Is it that's where
yeah,
that's the
still there.
location, right?
Yeah, it's there. And that's not a great location for
Right.
it.
No.
I always thought it'd be cool if they could get it in Eastview Mall or something. I don't know.
Oh,
if
yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
possible,
Yeah,
but- or something where more people.
It's
you can see
essentially,
it.
located
know,
there where people would
really.
be able to see. Yeah, that
Because the stadium downtown, they don't even
No,
Well,
they don't.
a couple of city teams.
Right.
they're
Exactly.
playing their games there,
True.
but
True.
at the time. I wanted to ask you then too about how did the whole New York State playoffs and football championship, how did that? What was the origin of starting that up for our state?
That's a good story too.
Well, I was chairman for 17 years, and I went to a meeting, and I said, "Look, guys, I'm in the discussion stage, but I'd like to put down an honorable mention or a Hall of Fame
Yeah.
and start this going. But I need everybody's input in it, and
For the state
The
playoffs.
football.
State playoffs. Yeah.
and I got no response from anybody, nobody. And the next meeting, I said we're gonna try a few things, and I had a list of names there, and then guys start throwing names up at me, and then I could see that we could do it, but it was a tough. The guys from down in the New York City area, they didn't send anybody because they didn't want the guy to have to come to Rochester. So that I ran into problems with that, trying to get people around.
Well, the Long Island teams, right? They were.
Yeah,
They were not the ones. They
No.
were not involved in their.
Yeah, then they wanted their own.
Yeah, and he told me that he kept going to. He was the Section 5 chairman, right? So they're all the chairmen are meeting at the state meeting, and he every year he'd go and he'd propose state playoffs, and it would get voted down, and then one year a guy slammed his fist on a table and said, "You know what? I'm tired of listening to him bring this up every year. Let's give it a shot. Let him try it."
That's good.
And it was the biggest money maker
Yeah,
for all of them.
all New York
Once-
State
once
championships.
they got it
Yeah,
going.
once they got
Yes.
it going. But because I remember at first, and this was I think when we had some of those Fairport teams, we pretty
Yeah.
much played like almost like a Western regional
Yes.
game. Then it
Yeah.
expanded.
Yep. And then it went to the semifinal, and then it finally went to the
Went
state
to end that,
Yeah.
and what was it? How was the selection to get the Carrier Dome to make that the venue for our state championship?
I went to each section and said, "You submit your own little tournament, and then we'll take the winners and eventually have a big tournament." And that went fairly well, but there were some sections that never had a guy, never had a team, and I don't think they do it anymore. I haven't seen anything, and no one has ever asked me about it. So
But
I
the
just-
state playoffs, probably, did you choose a dome because it's centrally located?
Yeah.
But like as a,
Inside.
and it's inside. And yeah.
Yeah,
But maybe more of the reason.
in late November, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dome wanted a lot of money,
Uh-huh.
and I was worried that we would go in the hole just trying to put a game on at the dome.
Well,
I remember one year when we were at Aquinas and you were at the AD, and we made it to the state finals.
Yeah.
That was December 2nd.
Yeah.
The state final game.
Really?
Yes.
That's late.
And I remember we played CBA on Thanksgiving Day,
Yeah,
and then the week after, then we played.
Yeah.
I forgot Nyack, I think, in the state finals.
You did, huh?
Yeah.
Because the year we went, we actually played the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh,
the
really?
championship,
Yeah,
state
Yeah,
championship.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause we actually practiced on Thanksgiving, which
Yes.
is kind of cool.
Yeah. We played on
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
you played on Thanksgiving.
Right.
Wow,
Well,
that's even-
no, excuse me, Black Friday.
yeah, that's when we played. That's
Yeah.
when our state championship was
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Friday. Yeah,
But that was, the Carrier Dome.
yeah.
Just
So
going
we went-
there,
Yeah,
I felt when we were at Aquinas and we played, we got so used to going there
Yeah.
with the kids.
Yeah.
I remember we played one team, and I won't say their name,
Mhm.
and we happened to get to the dome at the same time. Our bus and their bus. Our kids get up. Now, this is our third game of the year. We played the first game, we played Newark. It was like a kickoff classic.
Yep.
Then we played CBA, and then I think it was Nyack in the final. So we got off the bus at the same time, and our kids, this is our third time there.
Yeah.
Our kids get their stuff, get the line, boom, go inside, you get checked.
Yeah.
They get off the bus, they're taking pictures,
Yeah.
and they're looking up at the roof, and I was just like, they don't know shit.
No, that's not a good sign. Yeah.
One last question that I do want to ask you, Dick, and as we talk of the future of football in New York State, and we look at some of the surrounding states, the Ohio's, the Pennsylvania, New Jersey. What has been the roadblock for New York State to get more games, onto a schedule? Because I don't know, Johnny. What does Ohio play? How many is there?
Their regular season is 10 games.
10 games.
Everybody plays 10 games.
And then they do it. Then you go.
So
And then you
they
go
and
into
now they added another game. So the state finals, if you make it to the state finals, it's 16 games.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
and I guess when you look at New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and what is it that New York can do, or what's holding them back on some of those things?
We went for the 10th game when I had the playoffs. Of course, I had Roger Bunce, who was in the state, and he pushed it through. And they kept adding games along the way just to do that. And he, said, now I can't tell you what they're doing because it's changed so much, so drastically. People are going independent. That's the new thing.
Mhm.
Everybody's independent.
More 8-man teams now
Yeah,
too.
8-man
And schools are combining.
It's not the same. And
Was it the superintendents though that were blocking you from getting an extra game, or was that?
a little bit of everybody. They just didn't want to keep adding games and letting the team keep playing.
Mhm.
So I got to 10 and 11. I think we went for 12,
Yeah.
and that didn't make. We had a lot of people really get together, and then there was someone on the state committee that wasn't for it.
Wasn't for it, but
And I kept saying, my own committee's not backing me.
Yeah.
Right.
So then it was I think it's. Are we at 14 now though?
You're talking about our max, and
I think it's
you got to the
14,
state
because
finals.
it was
you got to the
13
state
for a
finals.
long
You
time.
go to the finals.
They did get an extra game. It's
Yeah.
14 now.
But I feel like for everybody,
Yeah,
just to
for
get
10 regular season games.
play
Yeah.
10 games,
Yeah.
and then even if you make the states at
Definitely.
14 or whatever,
Yeah.
but let the kids play more football.
Right.
That
Right.
counts.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some teams, week 4 or 5, and you're already basically eliminated.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah. And I guess my last question to you, Rob, since you've retired, how much are you still involved with football, and what are you doing with yourself?
Well, as far as being involved with football, I watch a lot of football.
Okay.
I've been asked by numerous people to come back, and it's flattering. But I'm just in a good place. I'd love to go and watch. Like I'll go to a night, watch the camp. I'll go, watch anybody play. All teams play, I'm like a hybrid teacher still. I substitute teach
Okay.
one or 2 days a week.
Good.
It's not bad. I enjoy it, and I go to places where I'm team teaching with friends of mine.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So it's fun.
Yeah.
It's the best. And we do a little traveling. We went to Italy last year. My wife just retired, or she will retire in June, and we're going to take a little Alaskan cruise. So we'll be more flexible. My kids were down. My son just graduated from Syracuse. I went to a lot of Syracuse football games in the last few years. And West Virginia, I had 2 daughters. My oldest graduated from there, and my younger one is halfway through. So
Well,
we
you
go to
enjoy
college
that. That's
games,
a different chapter of your life, and you're enjoying that.
It's
That's
great.
great.
It's fun,
That's
yeah.
good to hear.
And I always go see the Dragons play. They're
well,
playing
Well,
Rockwater
I mean, the national championships,
championships,
right?
right.
Do you have a national championship
Of
T-shirt,
course, Paul.
sweatshirt?
T-shirt and sweatshirt.
We hear a lot of this stuff from Loveland.
Oh yeah.
Right. There's a lot of proud
Yes.
Cortland Dragon alumni for sure.
Yeah.
That, so, but great.
But life is good, like you, Paul.
Well,
Life's good. Right?
Right. Well, it's funny you mentioned like going to games.
Yeah,
Or, watch. We like that. And what's nice about it now, if it's raining, we leave. We can read about it later.
Yeah.
And if the game's a blowout or whatever, we
Yeah.
may be home by halftime.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. Like I said, Paul and I during the season we'll talk to each other Monday night and we'll say, okay, these are the games. Which one are you interested in? Whatever game. And we go. And like
That's
last
fun.
year, we had a great time. We were at the McQuaid Hilton game at Hilton, and it was just a beautiful night.
Yeah.
We were tailgating. We got some.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
Yeah.
you may join us.
You know what? I'm gonna have to,
we
Paul.
bring a dish and we
Yeah.
just keep passing
Absolutely.
it on to us all.
Absolutely.
Actually,
I will join.
Don
Let me know.
Hagrid showed up.
Yeah, he
Oh, yeah,
did. He
because
did
his,
Lockhart,
his
John
grandson
Lockhart,
was
Yeah.
playing.
right at that time. But We have a fun
Yeah,
time.
let me know. I'll definitely meet you.
Okay.
That's fun.
All right. What I got to do now is first things I got to do is put my glasses on
Yeah.
because we all get to that point. I just want to let people know what's going on. All right, we're in the middle of July.
This will come out.
When this comes out. Yeah. So we're going. If people don't know already, we're broadcasting once a week now, and this will be going on until basically the end of football season. So we're going to broadcast once a week, just so everybody knows. After this, the first week in August, we're going to be up at Greece Olympia High School in the West Side football camp that George Giordano was talking about a couple episodes ago. We're going to be up there at Olympia, Paul and I. And actually, our third week, we had a third guy. We had an interview the other morning. We were growing a little
You
bit.
are, yeah, all right, yeah. All
We
right.
went out to
That's good.
Fairport, and our third guy, he's going to be the guy in the sidelines for us,
Yeah.
is Dave Lanning.
Oh, the best. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure he'll have some good interviews
Oh, yeah.
for us.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that should be
That's
fun.
awesome.
That should
Yeah.
be fun.
So there's always an open, invite if you're ever interested.
Yeah.
Right, because there's two sidelines in the game. So
Yeah, that might be
instead of having
interesting,
Dave
yeah.
running to both sides, we can.
Yeah, I definitely might be interested in it.
Yeah,
For sure.
so
Yeah, that'd
something.
be cool. Yeah,
And I said to Paul, I guess this is what we do after we retire.
yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
Just stay in the game. a
it's
little
not
bit,
going to
you know?
leave us.
No, no,
Right?
no.
I mean, we were all born. Football.
And that's what the whole idea of the podcast is we want to pass information out to Section 5 when some of the camps are, when, some of the guys that want to get into officiating, where do you go, who do you contact, and even some of the coaching certifications where you would go.
Yeah.
And if we can
It's all
pass
good
that out
stuff.
and help people,
Yep.
that's what we want to do.
So for
Really?
August, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, we'll be up at Greece Olympia. And there's 12 teams. We're going to interview 4 teams a night. And it's kind of quick, get the head coach in. After that, a couple of their players. And we're going to interview by the third night, we'll have all 12 teams interviewed about their upcoming season. Just give Section 5, like we've said from the start, give it a little,
Yeah,
some
that's
juice.
that's a
You
great.
know what I'm saying?
It grows a game. That's
Yeah.
great for the game.
And then after that, we are going to, and this is my guy up at school, I'm going to be depending on him a lot on this, is we're going to go live. And
Yeah,
it's going to be the first day of practice. It'll be August 19th. We're going to be up at Irondequoit High School, talk to Coach Victor and everybody up there.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the first day of practice at Irondequoit. Now, it's not going to be the whole practice. It'll
Right.
be, a little half hour, 40-minute type of thing. And basically, that's just kind of like a little trial for us. Because the first game of the year, week 1, Eastridge is at Irondequoit. And we're going to broadcast that game.
oh, cool. Yeah,
And that's, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We're just going to do like a 40-minute pregame,
Mhm.
a halftime, and then a postgame.
Yeah.
And as far as the game, Varsity Media is there.
Yep.
They're going to do the game. And we're just going to, watch the game and go from
And
there.
did you mention that we'll be at Premier Sports?
Yeah.
That's where we'll be doing
Yeah,
weekly.
Yeah.
Weekly. This will be at Premier Sports in the
Yeah.
mall.
Now, during the season, every Tuesday, we're going to be up at Premier. The episode will come out on a Thursday. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the games that were played the week before, those games, the upcoming games of the week, what are some of the games to look out for, and talking to Joe Muno at Premier, we're going to give out a Player of the Week award.
And Dick was Joe's former head coach.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Yep. So during the season, then we're going to be up at Premier. So
that's good.
Football's starting to move,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and we just we're so thrilled about everything that's been going on, and giving thanks to everybody that's been helping us. Anything helps. And one thing I do, and I always forget this. Please subscribe to our channel. Our channel, we work, with people subscribing. It makes our channel grow.
It's free. It's on YouTube. You just press a button.
Yep.
You just press a
And there's
button
not a lot of things in life these days you can get
for free.
Yeah.
So you would get all the episodes.
Yep,
That's
all the
basically
episodes.
what is good.
And if you go back a couple episodes with George, I had something, well, I did, like up at school. We put a QR code on. So if people are interested in camps and everything in that, I know the camps are starting to, start off a little bit. Just put your phone up on the QR and it'll let you know all of George's camps that are coming. And then before that one, the episode before George, we have is Kyle Fenn. And we have Kyle Fenn, we have another QR code. And I'm telling you something, the new Rydell football helmets, they're amazing.
Yeah, are they? Yeah.
I mean, talk about,
Yeah, that's
they're,
great.
they're form fitting.
Yeah.
There's no pumping air in, taking
Yeah,
air. It's all, everything is personalized. It's just incredible what Rydell has
That's
done
great.
with
You know,
helmets.
Great.
You know?
Yep. Keep kids safe,
Yeah, that's
really
number one.
Yep.
Keep it growing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think I'm about done. Everybody's pretty
We're
much
good.
done.
We're all good.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Okay, now this is the part at the,
Yeah.
we'll say 1, 2, 3.
Well,
We'll say keep it
Keep it real, section
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
Ready? Here we
Yeah.
go. 1,
2, 3. Keep it real, section 5 football.
Have a great night. Take care.
That was great. That was great. You guys did fantastic.
Yeah.
That was-
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great. I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall. I'm falling fast, sitting here praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's fact. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if